All right. So, Pro and Con Show. I'm the host, Michael James Ott. I'm sorry we had a little bit of a glitch there on Facebook Live. So, it's back and working. So, here we go. So, the intent of the Pro and Con Show is to encourage everybody to, look at the issues from all sides, right? To open your hearts and your minds to the complexity of the issues, the pro and the con, the good and the bad, the for and against, hence the Pro and Con Show. And I look at many different, 5 different information streams. And I point out repeatedly that I don't say news because, unfortunately, because of the way things are, and the way that the rhetoric is to try to get you to, so-called clickbait or to get you, ratings or whatever on television, they do all kinds of things to try to promote hate and discontent, basically, in the hopes that you will watch. And all of us have, certain leanings based on, how we were raised or that kind of thing, all the different experiences we've had up until this moment. But that still doesn't mean that our perceptions are perfect. They are not. And we should be open to at least understanding the perceptions of other people, because that's all part of the truth. Many of these issues are very complex, and it very much depends on how you perceive them as to what is appropriate. And not understanding each other, not being open to at least talking to each other, is a big problem. So normally start with Breitbart on the right, and then Fox News, NPR, CNN, and Huffington Post as far as these information streams on the internet. But today I just want to talk about, focus on one Breitbart article. So I'll show you this momentarily, and then I'll go down a little bit further. But you can read the title there. Klobuchar on demo opponents. I am not going to make promises just to get elected. So this is what I really want to speak to on this particular topic is, 2 things. So one is Breitbart has put this on their website and done it the way that they have because they're trying to sow hate and discord about, like certain Democrats pointing out that they don't agree with other Democrats. Well, I got news for you, folks. None of us totally, completely agree with each other. It doesn't mean that we can't talk things through and get to a place where we can at least be on the same page. Now, we may not fully agree with everything, but that's almost never the case, right? There's always compromise. And in fact, there should be, given that the laws apply to all of us. But the key thing here, and when Amy Klobuchar talks about this, there's again this issue with the political parties, and they it's really amazing how polarized these things are. So you've got this group on one side, the so-called right or left, pick one. Right leaning, conservative leaning people, and they have their vision on what they want, and at this point it's reached, well, to hell with everybody else. And then you've got left leaning people, and the hell with everybody else. Well, that's not right. And now our political system, though, is built. Not in the Constitution, by the way. I point this out repeatedly. None of this stuff with the political parties is in the Constitution of the United States. And we've just allowed ourselves to get here. We got to stop this stuff. Because now what you have is people acting on behalf of these tenets that many of us don't believe in, where most of us are fairly centrist. 60 or 70% of us want life to kind of be some kind of amalgam of these positions. And but then, in order to get elected, you have to go through the primary process for your party, because that's unfortunately the way things are. And the political parties effectively control. We've allowed them to control who is brought before us and what kind of support they get. And I would argue that many of the candidates that we've had on the national stage have been quite poor. And we could have done so much better if we had substituted a new system that got rid of the influence of the political parties and got rid of the influence of all the money and power mongering that goes on. And, basically take elements of the jury duty system to, kind of draft, if you will, potential candidates, and then elements of some kind of online information system, something like Facebook, only for candidates, and of course very locked down in the way it's done, and equal and fair and easily viewed and witnessed by the rest of us, the voters of this country. And then the election. So you have those elements, you bring those together, you get rid of people vying for office just because they want to garner wealth, influence, and power, which unfortunately is a significant portion of them. And you get rid of this stuff where we spend months talking about these programs, either leftist or rightist, and then most of us don't want them. Okay, and that's the thing is, let me give you an example. So somebody in the Democratic Party says, I think college should be free for everyone. Well, that's a short little bumper sticker kind of thing. Of course, the issue is way more complex than that, and I would offer that we don't want that, not at least in those simple terms, and here's why. The country, we go forward, the economy is what it is. The demands are, we need certain people trained in certain ways, and it is what it is. But there's no way that there's any assurance that if you just let anybody have a degree for free, and you pay that bill from our tax money, that there's any kind of matchup between what these people are getting degrees in and the kind of needs that our economy has. And the other part of it is, people just waste money. If it's free, they'll just go. They have no intent of really doing anything positive for society in any way, shape, or form. But why not go to college for 4 years and live on the public dole if you're going to make tuition and room and board free? So you can't have these simplistic things, and then what that causes is a significant portion of the country doesn't like that person, or doesn't like what they are promoting, because they fear this. It doesn't make sense to them, and so they end up not wanting to vote for that person. And so this candidate says, he or she says and does these things to try to get through the gauntlet of the primary in their own party, and then you suffer the fate, going forward, of what does that mean on a national election, where the party is only part of this again. None of it makes any sense whatsoever. So I'm a huge proponent of and hoping that amongst all the things that you might think about as you focus on the who, the what, the where, and the when, which is the true news, and you work on trying to make sure that you're leaving bias out of your views. You're open to hearing what other people feel and why. The key thing is why. Tell me the facts behind why you are where you are, why you feel like you do. And then by doing these things, we'll come closer and closer together. But one of the big things, and many candidates on supposedly, so-called both sides of the aisle recognize this, the ones that will truthfully talk about it, is that the political parties are an inappropriate thing to have in our society. And they had their place when information was hard to come by and it was hard to disseminate. But now we're in a place where it's actually, very easy to do. And the real struggle is trying to make sure you're not looking at so-called fake news, which is all the bias kind of stuff. So what do? Well, we want the information on the candidates. We want to be able to look at it, so you put it in a place where it's in a very standardized format and protected by security so that people cannot come in, foreign entities or whatever cannot influence it, yet all of us potential voters can look at it freely and look at what the candidates have to say and how they speak in public and all these other attributes that we might be looking for, and thereby get really good candidates that are actually going to serve us, as opposed to ones that are volunteering mostly because they want the glory of it, the wealth, power, and influence. All right, well, for Saturday, July 6th, 2019, this is Michael James Ott. Hope you watch this show. Go back and watch the old ones. Try to do live shows at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Mountain Time, or no, Pacific Time. All right. Well, until the next show, bye for now.